to the VIP.
Yeah, the IP, VIP.
Don't wait, cause tonight's on me.
It's on me, baby, all on me, yeah.
Sexy models, champagne bottles.
Yeah, the IP, VIP.
Got 2 models, 3 more bottles.
Model when I'm model, got a bottle, there's only one side.
Be Taylor.
Yeah, the IP, VIP. It's on me, baby, all on me, yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames. Got a lot of really cool stuff to talk to you about today, including in entertainment news. Looks like a couple of movies have been pushed back a little bit more, including Christopher Nolan's Tenet and Wonder Woman 1984. We'll talk a little bit about that. In sports, a group of NBA players have gotten together to try to go ahead and see if the NBA could provide something called a bubble insurance. We'll talk a little bit about what that is. And in entertainment news, Mafia 1, the first one, gets a complete new look. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, I had the opportunity today to speak to the co-founder of Sullen Clothing down in Southern California, Jeremy Hanna. And he talks to me about a little bit how his products, how his shirts, how his clothing line also have a story to tell, along with combining tattoo art. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Twism White Pieces Overdose right here on the Xander Effect.
2020 twist. Heart is throbbing, glad I met you. I'm your Robin, the hood is where I met you. Made up met with you. Late night wrestling, never slept with you. More than friends, yes. More than lovers, yes. Hold me close, there is no other. I'm your rock, you're my pleasure. Overdose on you, there's nothing better. Late talks, AM walks, X on my heart, that's your mark. From the start, kisses after dark in your heart, that's my spark. You know me, stone lover, make your body weak from the way I hold you. It feels so right the way you hold me tight. Eyes open in the middle of the night. We grinding through high as fuck, just like we do when it's like we do it right. You're my passion, lover, touches, kisses, neck and shoulder. Pop your bottle, empty, drunk in love. I need her, you're so wrong. It feels so right the way you hold me tight. Eyes open in the middle of the night. We grinding through high as fuck, just like we do when it's like we do it right. You're my passion, lover, touches, kisses, neck and shoulder. Pop your bottle, empty, drunk in love. I need her. Take my hand, I'll walk with you. Take my heart, it belongs to you. Hold my soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. Yes. So addicted, overdose. Cocaine kisses, nose to nose. You're my lover, I'm your lover. In this room, there is no other. Take my hand, I'll walk with you. Take my heart, it belongs to you. Hold my soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. So conflicted, no one knows. Drunk in love, I'm comatose. You're my passion, I'm your passion. In this night, our love is last. So intoxicating. You're the winds of passion radiating. Cries of joy, sighs of love, your playtime toy, I do not judge. Amazing ways you keep for days. Trading favors, that's our way. Haters hate the way we play, but the rules we break in our love is game. Trade it for nothing. You're in my soul, I need your love. You feel this fire inside, you know it means something. In this life, you'll need for nothing. I'm a product of my heart's ambition to provide you all my love. Feels so wrong, it feels so right the way you hold me tight. Eyes open in the middle of the night. We grinding through high as fuck, just like we do when it's like we do it right. You're my passion, lover, touches, kisses, neck and shoulder. Pop your bottle, empty, drunk in love. I need her. Feels so wrong, it feels so right the way you hold me tight. Eyes open in the middle of the night. We grinding through high as fuck, just like we do when it's like we do it right. You're my passion, lover, touches, kisses, neck and shoulder. Pop your bottle, empty, drunk in love. I need her. Take my hand, I'll walk with you. Take my heart, it belongs to you. Hold my soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. Yes. So addicted, overdose. Cocaine kisses, nose to nose. You're my lover, I'm your lover. In this room, there is no other. Take my hand, I'll walk with you. Take my heart, it belongs to you. Hold my soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. So conflicted, no one knows. Drunk in love, I'm comatose. You're my passion, I'm your passion. In this night, our love is lasting. Feels so wrong, it feels so right. Feels so right. Feels so right. We soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. So addicted, overdose. Cocaine kisses, nose to nose. You're my lover, I'm your lover. In this room, there is no other. Take my hand, I'll walk with you. Take my heart, it belongs to you. Hold my soul, it loves you back. Never let go, it's a love like that. So conflicted, no one knows. Drunk in love, I'm comatose. You're my passion, I'm your passion. In this heart, our love is lasting.
Hey guys, this is Ian Guerin and you're listening to the Xander Effect. Hello doll, how you been? Life hadn't given us a chance to speak. So right now, I'ma tell you a story. Sort of behind the scenes of you and me. The things that happened while you weren't here. Cause it's been a long time since you left, but I never got over it. I always thought we'd have another chapter. I promise not to mess up this time around. Let me pick it up when we left it. I believe it was on my birthday of 2013. Remember that girl I dated, or whatever that was that faded. Her sister was 10 times better than she. Hundreds of days have since gone by, and millions but not my love. I still miss the way you used to say goodnight, and how everything you said and did had style, and the way you taught me the quality charm. Can't be spending houses cause of restaurants, long as you always the one you like. So I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. Now that you block me out, make my pride. I'ma make my move, show you what you want. You know we ain't so rolled up, I'm rolled up. Now it's your turn to roll up. We're doing what's your number. The universe is calling. Come on and roll him, roll him. Come on and roll him, roll him. Come on and roll him, roll him. Come on and roll him. Feeling with too many cause makes me lonely. I'm looking for your name and everything from me. I'm tired of saying I love you but I'm feeling for them. Sorry, well, love. I've seen my darkest days. I'm out cold past mistakes. I'm not the one you met. Come on now, fix it, yeah. I'm taking you out and showing you a good time. I know the man screwed you bad. But girl, those days are over. I'm here to treat you right. I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. Then a chip will put me on, because my pride. I'ma make my move and show you what you want. You know we ain't so rolled up, I'm rolled up. Now it's your turn to roll up. We're doing what's your number. The universe is calling. See, my mama made it clear. Love is only for the brave. Love is only for the brave. Love is only for the brave. See, my mama made it clear, and she's making no mistakes. Love is only for the brave. Love is only for the brave. I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. I'ma take a little chance here on the dice. Now the chip will block me out, it's my pride. I'ma make my move and show you what you want. You know we ain't so rolled up, I'm rolled up. Now it's your turn to roll up. We're doing what's your number. The universe is calling. So I'ma take a little chance and roll the dice. I'ma take a little chance and roll the dice. Now that chip will block me out, risk my pride. I'ma make my move and show you what you want. So roll up, I'm rolled up. Now it's your turn to roll up. We're doing what's your number. The universe is calling us.
That was Ian Guerin's Roll the Dice right here on the Xander Effect. In entertainment news, Wonder Woman 1984 and Tenet have been pushed back. Their theatrical releases. Christopher Nolan's kind of like spy thriller starring Robert Pattinson and John David Washington was initially set to be released on July 17th, and now it's going to debut on July 31st. So basically, they're pushing that one back. They're still trying to deal with the pandemic and everything that's going on right now. So they're trying to go ahead and adjust to everything that's going on, adjust to the, I guess you might call it the new normal, and with that adjusting also dates for the releases. Another one that's set to be released a little bit later now is Wonder Woman 1984, and it basically has been delayed for it's going to be pushed back for nearly 2 months. it went from it was set to be released originally on June 5th, and then it was rescheduled for August 14th. Now it's going to be scheduled for October 2nd. So this is the second time that Wonder Woman 1984 is being re-released. As far as Tenet is concerned, Tommy Emmerich, chairman of Warner Brothers, went ahead and said, quote, "We're especially thrilled in this complex and rapidly changing environment to be bringing Christopher Nolan's Tenet, a global tentpole of jaw-dropping size, scopes, and scale, to theaters around the world on July 31st. It's been longer than any of us could have imagined since we've seen a movie on the big screen, and to acknowledge Chris's fans as we count down to Tenet's opening day. We are also excited to offer his masterpiece Inception in theaters for its 10th anniversary on July 17th. So basically what they're going to go ahead and do is they're looking at it from that perspective that, you know, while everybody's waiting for Tenet to go ahead and be released, they'll go ahead and they'll add Inception instead for right now, you know, to have people go ahead and just be cool with it, you know, be cool with what's going on. So, I mean, you have a bunch of other movies that are also being released at a different time. You have Sony's The Broken Hearts Gallery is going to be released July 10th. Disney's Mulan, the live-action movie based on the cartoon, based on the animated movie, is going to be set to be released July 24th. Paramount's SpongeBob Sponge on the Run is going to be set to be released August 7th. And in other entertainment news, speaking of SpongeBob, it looks like everybody's the suspicion of SpongeBob being gay actually is true. They went ahead, Nickelodeon went ahead and decided to let everybody know in a Twitter post dedicated to Pride that included a picture of Sponge, Schwartz from Henry Danger, and Korra from the Avatar spin-off show Legend of Korra. And basically they said in the Twitter post, they said celebrating #Pride with the LGBTQ plus community and their allies this month and every month. So they didn't go ahead and outright say that SpongeBob is gay, but including them in that picture kind of is insinuating the fact that he may be gay, or that he is. So, you know, if he is, congratulations, SpongeBob. You finally came out of the closet. We've all been thinking it. Glad you finally admitted it. In other entertainment news, I had the opportunity to speak to the co-founder of Sullen Clothing, one of Southern California's most popular brands. And actually, not just in Southern California, it has expanded throughout the entire world. Sullen Clothing goes ahead and takes storytelling to a whole new level, in which they not only use it because they also specialize in tattoos as well, but they also use what they do in tattooing. They place it on their products, on their shirts, their hats, sweaters, etc. And each one of those shirts, each one of those products that they have has a story behind it. So, it's an amazing product, but you don't have to take my word for it. You can go ahead and check out this awesome interview with co-founder Jeremy Hanna, who talks to me a little bit about what Solon is all about. But first, here is Dose Can't Get Enough, right here on the Xander Effect.
Looking crazy, can we get a little crazy? Girl, in my mind so crazy, and I don't wanna see it, baby. Got all the girls out here hating, me and my boys out here waiting. You know your body ain't playing, you know your body ain't playing. When I pull up, don't say a word. Captivate me with your body, hypnotize me with your soul. My lucid dreams turn reality. I feel it, you know what you do to me. You know
Xander Effect, I have co-founder of Sullen Clothing, Jeremy Hanna. And man, Jeremy, let me tell you, dude, you and I have gone through so many things over the years. It's so good to be able to chat with you. It's been a while since I've actually talked to you. Thank you so much for being on here, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Xander. Thanks for having me. This is definitely a fun little reunion. It's a long time coming, huh?
Dude, tell me about it, man. Like, we definitely have, like, had our share of adventures over the years. And I got to tell you, man, I am so proud and happy to see how much Sullen Clothing has grown over these past years. I mean, it's hard to believe. It feels like it was almost yesterday that you started this endeavor. And man, it's become huge over the years. I mean, you not only do you have do you have people like wearing ink, tattooed Sullen on their bodies and stuff like that.
Right.
But I mean, you've also clothed some like pretty high profile, celebrities and stuff over the years. I mean, like, dude, you're growing, man. But I gotta ask, how did this concept begin anyway? Like, how did Sullen Clothing come to be?
Well, first of all, I gotta say thank you for the kind words, man. It's been a fun run, and the feelings are mutual, man. I'm super stoked to see your success and everything that you're doing, making all these crazy moves. And so, yeah, man, thank you for that. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
The beginning of Sullen, I think a lot of it has to do with where we grew up. We grew up here in Orange County, North Orange County, close to LA, and it's easy to get inspired. So when we were teenagers, there were so many clothing brands popping up around us. And when you see the different stickers popping up on stop signs, or you see, whether it's Hurley up the street, or Ruka, or there's just so many of them, it kind of got to a point where it's like, well, shit, we can do this too. We don't want to necessarily wear, suits and ties.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do our own thing. And to be honest with you, like, I think the fact that where we grew up, it made it easier not only to get inspired, but to actually start it. Because, no disrespect to any other areas, but if we were living in Idaho or Connecticut, it might not have been as easy. So we gave it a shot. And my business partner's not only is he a killer tattoo artist, but he's also just a great artist in general. He graduated from the Art Center of Pasadena, and he's the creative director. And we gave it a shot, and luckily, 19 years later, we're still rocking and rolling, and super blessed to still be going. So we're stoked.
No, that's amazing, man. And the word Sullen, I mean, I remember, I didn't, to be honest with you, I never, when I was younger at the time, I didn't know what the word meant. And so I was like,
right.
Sullen, that's a really interesting word, to have on a brand. And then I looked it up, and pretty much the definition of Sullen is somebody that's just chill, for the most part.
It's a vibe, like a sullen day is sort of like kind of gloomy, eerie, creepy, and my business partner being a tattoo artist, he was always like, a lot of tattooers like that dark art, so they're tattooing skulls, and Grim Reapers and stuff like that. So when we knew we wanted to start the brand, we pretty much sat around with a pen and paper for a month trying to come up with a name. And, it's funny because we look back on some of the names we almost named it, and I'm so glad we didn't. But Ryan had an art project, and he had to do it was a comic book cover.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually looking at it hanging on my wall as I'm talking about it here in my office. But he did a comic book cover, and it was a cartoon character, kind of like a me and another one of our friends. We kind of looked like superheroes, and I got like leather jacket, and he named the comic book Sullen. So it was on the ground, and we're looking at it. We're like, "What's that?" And Ryan's like, "Oh, that's just an art project." We're like, "Well, what's Sullen?" Like, because I didn't know what the definition was either. Nor, a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. They thought it was like our last name, or it was the name of our band. But he liked it because he's also a lettering guy. So when you're looking at it, it goes consonant, vowel, LL, vowel, consonant. It has that mirror image. So he's like, I could do a lot. I could play with those words and the letters. And then the definition made sense. And it was just one of those words that kind of rolled off the tongue nicely that people questioned. And we went for it, and it worked, But yeah, Ryan and I, we're not really Sullen guys. We don't walk around like, we're not like emo.
Oh, that's for sure.
But it does work for the tattoo world, because like I said, skulls and tattoos go hand in hand. So
Oh, totally.
So yeah, that's where the name kind of came from. And sometimes I get envious of brands popping up and they have better names where they, they kind of come out strong just because they got a strong name. I don't think I don't know. I mean, I like it.
No, and you know what? It works out because I can't imagine Sullen Clothing not being called Sullen. Like it's one of
Yeah.
those things where, since I've seen this clothing line for so long, it's just amazing, how it's grown. I can't imagine it being any other word. And, it's so awesome that you guys have combined tattoo art and designing, different types of clothing. I mean, is that pretty much like, is that most of the inspiration for a lot of the art that's on the clothing is derived from tattoos?
Yeah, we kind of accidentally stumbled upon that. There was a time where even though Ryan was a tattooer and he was tattooing all of us on the side, and a lot of the artwork was Ryan alone, and it all had a tattoo vibe to it. But it wasn't until like year 5, year 6, where Ryan started drawing with some local tattooers, and we kind of accidentally, like our very first artist was Nico Hurtado, who's now arguably one of the most famous tattooers in the world. But he asked if Ryan wanted to get a tattoo from him, and he's like, hey, can you print some shirts, for trade? And then I asked Ryan, I was like, hey, ask Nico if we can put Solon on a few of them. And Nico's like, screw it, put it on all of them. And that was our very first shirt, and it crushed it, and we did well, and the light bulb went off, and it was like, oh, okay. So now, X amount of years later, we've worked with over 500 tattooers. So what we do is it don't matter if you could be a rock star tattooer with 1 million followers, or you could be somebody with 50 followers. We don't discriminate. Like Ryan, he's not looking for just famous tattooers is what I'm getting at. If he sees that you're talented and your artwork would work well on a shirt, then we'll reach out to you, or you're welcome to send art to us. So we like to use our platform to get people's names out there. And we've always, nurtured our social media, and our social media has always been strong. So, our hashtag is Together We Rise. So when people come on board with us, we try our hardest to promote them and tell their story and get their name out there. And it's worked out. We got, like I said, we've worked with over 500 tattooers and graffiti artists and painters and artists from all over the world. And it's definitely a family vibe. We try our hardest to help each other out in any ways possible.
No, and you know what, man? I mean, I can definitely vouch for that, because since day one, since the moment that I met you guys kind of adopted me into the Solon family. And it was always like we always rode together, man. I mean, that's one of the many things I miss about you guys, that I haven't seen you guys in years, is because it's like that was the vibe that I always had with you, with Lifeline, with all you guys. It was always felt like I was always adopted into your family, and I love that about you guys. And that's the thing, is that I'm so happy that, Beto, the lead singer of Lifeline, introduced us, because I'll never forget that, shortly after he introduced us, he decided to get that Sullen tattoo.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that, I mean, you guys still continue on being a close-knit family. And, through the years, the Sullen Clothing line hasn't just evolved into just clothing. It's evolved into other aspects as well, such as a podcast, such as a reality show. And tell me a little bit about your podcast, because I remember you told me that you have a podcast, and I've seen the podcast as well pop up on social media.
Yeah, well, I think as a brand, it's our job to be storytelling. And in this new, not new, but this social media world we live in, that's our job to tell our story. So whether it's us trying to educate people on the history of tattooing and some of the forefathers, or doing different charity events to help some of our brothers and sisters who may have cancer, or a family member with cancer. We try to bring people together to raise money for them, of course, to be honest, the one common denominator is tattoos. Like, we are a tattoo art driven brand. Most of our artists are tattooers, not all of them. Some of them are, like I said, graffiti artists, or just painters or artists, but most of them are tattoo artists. So we have a strong platform. We've developed relationships all over the world. And just like you were saying a minute ago, I honestly feel like the word family, a lot of people throw it out there, but we're very fortunate to have the family that we have. Like, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the people that we surround ourselves around. So it's like you supporting us back in the day, and Bethel that we're talking about, and all the different events that we used to do together, like that helped start us. And it was a grassroots thing. It was a local Southern California thing, which, like I said earlier, when you start in Southern California, I feel like other countries, they think you're bigger than you are because you're based out of Southern California. But with that being said, we have, like I said, it's our job. So yeah, we got a podcast. It's called Under the Skin. You can hear it on, iTunes and Spotify, and it also plays on our YouTube channel, Sullen TV, our Instagram, Sullen Clothing, Facebook. But nowadays there's so many platforms, and we have stories to tell. I think there's a lot of brands out there that they get stuck and they get confused on what story they're supposed to be telling. Whereas we're fortunate to where we have so many stories. I mean, we have our Sullen Angels, our modeling agency. So whether it's our models, our incredible artists that we work with, or some of the OG tattooers in the game that are, becoming more, like I said, they deserve respect, and their stories need to be told. So yeah, man, we're on it. And like I said, we're very fortunate to have an endless amount of stories that need to be told, and we can always be doing a better job at it. You know what I mean?
No, and I totally agree. And that's the whole purpose of why I also have this podcast as well, to go ahead and tell the stories of so many people, because people could go ahead and just, misconstrue tattoos and kind of combine that with criminality, and it's not even like that. It's I've known so many people that are covered in ink, but they are dude, like you, for example, you're covered in ink, you're full sleeves and everything, and you're like the nicest guy that, I've ever met. And the same thing goes for so many
changed.
Huh?
Yeah, I said it's definitely changed, because back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was more of a outlaw culture, and a lot of the shops were ran by motorcycle clubs and ex-convicts. And so, whereas nowadays, a lot of the old timers, they'll call them like art geeks. It didn't used to be like that, where these guys, they'll get out of expensive art schools, and rather than going and working for, DreamWorks or Disney or something, they'll pick up a tattoo machine and they'll learn how to tattoo, and they'll blow people's minds. So a lot of tattooers these days aren't what they used to be. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just different. There's just a lot of guys that they might be blasted up from head to toe, tattoos on the side of their head and the neck, and some people might question them, but you talk to them, they're the biggest softies, the nicest, kind-hearted teddy bears you'll ever meet, But
True.
Of course, you can also tell, prison tattoos,
of course,
art, as well. So like when cops used to pull you over, they'd be like, what, they would assume you're a troublemaker. Whereas nowadays, they'll look at your tattoos and be like, oh, nice work, man. Who did that? You know what I mean? So I think people are starting to realize, even older people, older generations, when you're at the community swimming pool or something, you'll have grandmas and grandpas like, oh, I love your tattoos, my son's got one, blah blah blah. So I think it's changing. But that's part of, I feel like that's part of our job, to educate the world on the fact that this is art. It's it's art.
And that's the truth, because yeah, you're right about that, because there is a difference between it being art and it being something that you got, in prison or out of a gang or something like that, because there is a difference between the two. And it's cool that you guys are educating the public on that. It's cool that people like yourself and people like the people that you hang out with are educating others in the differences between the two, because everything's evolved. The world is always evolving. It's always changing. It's always growing. It's always learning. So part of learning is, learning all aspects of things that otherwise would be considered in, like past societies as negative, so now they're looking at it as something positive, which is really cool what you guys are doing, in educating people on that aspect. But I mean, I also noticed another thing, that you guys are starting some sort of a reality show, or is that part of the same podcast?
No, we're not going to do a reality show as of right now. We have talked to, I'll put it this way. We've had a number of production companies come to us, and we will always entertain it. I mean, from Lionsgate to Bunim Murray. I mean, some of the big ones have sat down and talked to us, but we haven't pulled the trigger just yet. I mean, I will say that reality shows have blown up a lot of clothing companies.
Mhm.
I mean, from when, Rob Dyrdek, whether it's Fantasy Factory or Ridiculousness, like DC, Meet the Barkers, Famous Stars with Straps, Tap Out back in the day. But we've always loved having slow growth. So we're coming up on 20 years in March, which is crazy. Makes me feel old, but we're I know, tell me about it. But we're killing it. Like, we're literally doing better now than we've ever done. So for us to be doing this good at year 19, I think a lot of that has to do with slow growth. Slow growth is strong growth. We've never like kind of shot up, blown up, peaked, and then there's nothing but downhill from there. But no, we're not entertaining a reality show right now. In the past, we have had meetings, but as of right now, no, I don't think we're going to do it.
No, and that's well. I mean, honestly, that kind of saddens me a bit because I would love to see a reality show about you guys because you guys have, like you said, you have a lot of interesting stories. Hell, we have, both you and I have a lot of interesting stories to tell as well. I mean, and going back from when we went to San Felipe, Mexico, when I was promoting for that company, it was Surf and Ski Sun Tours. It was Invasion. That's how I met you guys. And, I mean, we partied down in San Felipe for spring break, and before we started the interview, we were talking about how, all of us are just chilling and watching the sun come up. I mean, we were, no doubt, we're like, it's tough to remember because we were kind of blitzed at the time. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I remember, a lot of this stuff because a lot of it was one of the very few times in my life where I was actually enjoying my life, and I'm very happy that I got to share it with you guys, from San Felipe to going to Squaw Valley. And it's so funny, you don't remember the Squaw Valley trip because that was a road trip we took. And I'll never forget, dude. I remember I was driving on the road on the 5 freeway and it was late at night. And then suddenly, like, it was almost like hypnotizing us. I kept on seeing the lines of the road go, and suddenly I started veering, and I forgot it was a girl that was riding with me, and it was I think Betha was with us too, and you guys were behind us. And suddenly I started seeing the car veer, and she started noticing that, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm awake. I'm awake." Like,
dude, I get hypnotized too like that. I think it was like a 14-hour drive. I remember in my car too. I had my Nissan Sentra. Oh, I remember that,
dude.
But going back to what you were talking about with the reality show, imagine, because they told us too. Imagine having cameras come home with you inside your house. Imagine having cameras follow you around when you're in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, that's a scene like that takes commitment. If all of a sudden you got cameras following you around at the restaurant, the grocery store, the gas station, like. And I'm not saying, maybe one day we will pull the trigger, but that's, I don't know, that's a trip because we're already documenting everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's already cameras everywhere nowadays, so it's already like a different world. I don't know. I trip out on that.
No, and you know what? I mean, you also have to think about who else is exposed to this type of reality show. It's not just your business. It's not just you. It's your personal life. It's your kids. It's your wife. I mean, it's everybody involved. It's your family, So it's like you also have to think about that kind of a commitment as well. Will they be okay with it? Will they be all right with them getting filmed doing something embarrassing? I mean, you have to also think of, okay, who's watching this too? So it's like it's a huge undertaking that I'm sure that you probably have gone back and forth with in your head and probably talked to your family about, and no doubt that's probably why it's like, let's put a pin on it for right now and then reevaluate that later on. So
yeah, for now we're all good, man. Ryan and I, Sullen is doing well, and we've learned, you know what I mean? We're working smarter and not harder, and you're still learning new things every day. And like I said, you can always be doing a better job at everything and anything. But
No.
no, man. Right now, I think we're gonna be passing on any reality shows.
No, and that's cool though, man. But I mean, like I said, it's disappointing for me because I'd love to watch it, but then again, I'm like, I kind of lived it with you guys briefly. So
You did, we did. We got some memories in the books for sure.
Bro, could you imagine if they had if you were actually filming the reality show back then?
Oh, we'd be screwed. We'd be screwed. We'd be canceled.
Oh my god, dude! Seriously, just like thinking back, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with technology not being as advanced as it is today.
Absolutely. We documented our own way.
I mean, dude, it's like back then there used to be the moniker, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but now it's like what happens in Vegas, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook.
Yeah, your homeboy's next to you
YouTube.
filming you while you're puking in the toilet, you know, and he's posting it as you're wiping your mouth.
Dude, and then rewinding it back and forth. So,
oh yeah,
dude, it's a trip. But you know, I mean, it's, you know, like that's one thing that I appreciate about technology not being around back then, because the memories we keep to ourselves. You know, and that actually means a lot more to me. It's a more personal, you know, thing for me, is that a lot of the stuff that we did, a lot of the stuff that we enjoyed, that's our memories. You know, that's us. That's something that no one, that we can't share because it was our stuff, you know, and I really appreciate that part of our lives, of the time that I spent with you boys at Sullen. And, you know, like I'm hoping that once this, you know, crazy quarantine is done and over with, I get to hang out with you guys again very soon. And speaking of the quarantine, how's that affected you guys, you know, with business and everything?
You know, I'll be honest with you, the first couple weeks when everything was getting shut down in California, it was scary. You know, I mean, there was a time where, I'm sure you agree with me, where there was a feeling of just kind of anxiety, and it felt like, you know, like the end of the world was coming. You know, you're scared. And my wife, she has lupus, so she's a high risk, you know, person. So we were really spooked at first, but then the numbers started coming in, and we actually crushed it. Like, we had a great month in April, and I don't know if it's just because stimulus checks, unemployment checks, people are bored at home, the malls, the stores are closed,
taxes.
But yeah, dude, I'll be honest with you, man. We've been cranking, man. So it's like you're scared for a moment, like, oh crap, what's this going to do to our business? And then the numbers start coming in, and they're solid. So you're like, you wipe your brow, and you're like, okay, back to work, man. Let's, you know, it's like, of course, you still got to, you know, play it smart, and, you know, and realize that coronavirus is still out there and everything. But no, luckily our business, we're solid right now. Things are good.
No, that's good to hear too. And I got to ask you, you know, when I first met you, you guys were basically specializing in t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies. Have you guys gone further than that?
Oh, for sure. We, every catalog, we have 4 seasons a year, and we're always testing new things. And if it sells through and people love it, then we'll stick with it. But then also we'll do fun things each season, and they come and they go. And then we're always trying to do collaborations as well. Like, for instance, just yesterday, we just dropped our 4th annual collaboration with Sublime. And Sublime's my favorite band of all time.
Oh, totally. Mine too, man.
So yeah, I mean that's bucket list for us. So every year we get a number of Sullen artists to take a song from one of the albums and, you know, render that into some artwork. You know, so like we've had shirts that are called Badfish, or Waiting for My Ruka, or 40 Ounces of Freedom, you name it. But we're always looking to collaborate with different brands, and it doesn't always have, you know, whether it's a musician, band, or, you know, we've done snowboard jackets with Grenade in the past. We've done wakeboard vests with Jet Pilot. We've done snowboards with Nitro. We've done sunglasses with Black Flies. But you know, it's got to make sense. There has to be a story to tell, and we need to be vibing with that brand, you know, like to where it just needs to make sense. But no, we have everything under the sun. We don't do shoes, but we have.
I was going to ask about that, if you were going to start maybe diving into shoes at all.
I've been wanting to do slides, but I don't think we're going to do shoes just because we don't want to get stuck with the weird sizes. That's just not our gig. But unless we did a collaboration with Vans, that's another bucket list for me. So if anyone's listening out there from Vans, call me up.
Right? I agree with that. No, but that's really cool though, man. I mean, because you're doing a lot of stuff with a lot of great artists. I mean, I saw that you also did stuff with Be Real, from Cypress Hill, and that must have been really cool.
Be Real's the homie, man. He's a good dude, and we've done collaboration shirts. We've done Be Real shirts. We've done Cypress Hill shirts. Him and Sendog are good homies of ours, as well as Bobo, and they've repped us hard all over the world, and I can't thank them enough for it. But just like you and I, one thing I've learned, and I always preach this to people, that relationships are everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not just being fake, because I mean, some people hit it off and some people don't. You
True.
and I, we hit it off, but we didn't have to. We could have not liked each other, and that's fine. And we just, we don't vibe. But I like making friends. I like networking. I like getting creative with people and figuring out ways you can help each other out. And when we met up with Be Real and the boys from Cypress, it was solid from the beginning. So yeah, shout out to the boys from Cypress Hill. Thank you for all the love over the years.
No, and likewise, dude. I mean, you've always been solid. You haven't changed, man. And that's the thing. All the fame and the money that you have done over the years with Sullen, it hasn't changed you. You're still the same, down to earth person that I met, back in the day. And that's rare to see of somebody. I mean, it's crazy. I remember this one time when I was living with Beto and all them in Huntington Beach, that there was a concert at Angel Stadium. And I think you guys had like a big van or something like that. You guys had like one of those vans where you got to the roof of the van and you could watch the concert from up there or something like that. It was kind of vague. I was kind of, but anyways, we're not talking about that part. But what's funny is that I was there with TJ, and you obviously know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And so I was there with TJ, and TJ's like, dude, we're gonna sneak in because I only have like one wristband. I was like, man, how the hell are we going to sneak in? Do you know anybody at the door? He's like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I was like, all right, do what you got to do. And TJ, I love TJ, man. That guy's a hustler. He knows how to talk. He knows how to get in there. So we snuck in there. And then once we snuck inside, he was like, all right, now where's the Sullen band? I was like, Sullen's here? Jeremy's here? He's like, yeah, dude, they're all here. I was like, oh, dude, it'd be great to see him because I hadn't seen you guys in a couple of years before that. So finally, we found you guys, and you guys, sure enough, dude, you guys were all partying, drinking. Like you guys had the best view of the entire, parking lot stadium of Angel Stadium. And man, it's like as soon as we all saw each other, it was like, dude, it was like family reunion. It was like nothing changed. It was like,
that's right.
We just saw each other we just saw each other the day before or something. That's the thing about you guys from Sullen, is that you guys never change. You guys always stay down to earth, grounded, and family is family, and you always do it. And that's what I miss and love about you guys. That you guys never ever change, and that's a beautiful thing to have that kind of a relationship with people who have grown over the years. And dude, like I said, it's one of those things where, I love the clothing, but I love the people more. Because
I appreciate that.
You guys personify your clothing. And
yeah, luckily, Ryan and I, we both agree and see eye to eye on that. Where even with all the people we work with, like even just going back to whether it's Cypress Hill or the guys from Sublime, like if we sense an ego, then we back off, because we want to work with good people. And you realize when you start to meet more of these celebrities and stuff like that, some of them are assholes, but there's a lot of them that are super down to earth, regular, normal people.
True.
Like you and I, so it's whether I kind of jokingly say, my wife and my mom, like they would never allow me to get an ego. They'll pop that bubble so fast, but no, thank you for saying that. But I agree with you, like we refuse to get egos. We stay grounded, we stay humble, and we try to surround ourselves around with like-minded individuals that are the same way. If we sense an ego, man, we give them the Heisman and we're bobbing and we're dodging those kind of people.
Oh, no doubt, man, no doubt, and that's something that makes, in my opinion, that's something that makes a business even more successful, knowing
I agree.
that that you're just another person like everybody else, and that's something that is very important in any business, whether it be clothing, whether it be entertainment, whether it be any type of business. It's all the same, as long as you understand that you put on your pants just the same as the next person does. Then that's what really counts, and people can see that, and they gravitate to that for that reason, And
I tell people, you're right. I tell people as well, like I was talking about, I'm a networking marketing kind of guy, and say if you have an opportunity to network or meet this certain celebrity or musician or artist, if you sit there and you're like sitting there like fluffing them and blowing them, and you're all on their jock, like they're gonna get annoyed and they're gonna not gravitate towards you. But if you talk to them like they're a regular human and talk to them like they're a man, that's how you can become friends with them, and that's something I've learned over the years as well. Like I could give you so many examples of so many friends that I've met over the years where I've hit it off with them, and now we're friends, and they're famous musicians or whatever, but they're everyone, man. It don't matter who it is. The most famous person is still just a human being.
True. And that's facts right there. And speaking of musicians and friends, you and I actually have a mutual person that we know here, Kevin Hicklin.
Oh, no way. How do you know Kevin?
Well, I interviewed the band Dirty Machine. I know all those guys from Dirty Machine, so I play their music actually on my show a lot. And
dude, he was just here today.
Yeah, I told Kevin, I was like, because I interviewed Dirty Machine. I actually had a live interview with them at the Whiskey for one of their performances. And he actually was wearing Sullen Clothing. I was like, dude, you know the guys from Sullen? He's like, yeah, Jeremy's my boy. I was like, get the hell out of here. I've known Jeremy for years. He's like, no way.
Man.
So I was like, small world, man. Small world. Like, seriously, your clothing line is everywhere. I mean, I remember not too long ago, because I live in the Valley here in Los Angeles. I live in the San Fernando Valley. And what was cool about it is that in one of the stores, I saw your brand. And I was like, oh my God. Nice. Sullen is over here now. This is freaking cool, So, and wondering about that, how many places have you guys spread out to? I mean, you've already spread out here to the LA area. Have you spread out of state as well, or are you still just maintaining here in California?
Oh no, we ship to 45 countries. We have distributors in everywhere from Russia, Colombia, Venezuela, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe. Wherever, I tell people, wherever the tattoo culture is strong, Sullen is there. The clothing game is a tough one. We might have 40 distributors all over the world, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're all pushing huge numbers. But yeah, man, we're an international brand, and throughout the years, we've bounced around from one mall shop to another. They call it big box accounts. So in the past, we've been in Tilly's or Zoomies or PacSun or Macy's. But right now, the store that we're in, because we only do one at a time, we stay exclusive to one mall retailer. Mm-hmm. And the one that we're doing good business with right now is called The Buckle. And The Buckle's in, I think, probably 300 or 400 stores across America. And we have a great relationship with them. You walk in the store, you see a wall of Sullen. Nice. And we're giving them exclusive colorways and exclusive art and letting them get their hands on the art before everyone else. And I'm doing in-store events where I'll bring maybe a famous tattooer. We'll do signings in front of the shop at the mall. Crowd comes up. We'll have like games like cornhole and stuff. Get a ringer, and you win from some free stuff, and then we'll give a free tattoo away at the end of the day. So we've been doing a lot of fun stuff with Buckles all over. But anyways, yeah, to your listeners, find a Buckle store near you in the mall, and that's where you'll find a really good selection of Sullen stuff. Besides, of course, our website, SullenClothing.com.
No, that's definitely something that is very handy. And man, I'm just so I'm so blown away, man. Could you have thought back when we were, hanging out, back when we were partying and everything, that Sullen would have grown this big?
Yes and no, but you know what I trip out on the most, and it's something that we always talked about, is the amount of people that get our logo tattooed on them.
Yeah.
Because check it out. So our logo, and it's evolved. It's changed since I first met you, but now it's a skull with cross brushes instead of crossbones. It's two paint brushes, and so even if you didn't like Solon or no Solon, it still looks like a cool tattoo to have. Because if you got a skull with two paintbrushes, it just shows that you like dark art. And literally every day I wake up and I go on social media or the hashtags, there are people all over the world tagging us every day, getting our logo. I mean, there's dudes getting it tattooed between their eyes, on their forehead, on their cheek, on their neck. And then there's a lot of people doing their own version of it. Like I said, tattoos and skulls go hand in hand. So people are doing, these custom original Solon badge. That's what we call our logo. It's the Solon badge of honor. And they're doing custom ones all over the world. I mean, like every country, everywhere. And that right there, I will never get sick of it, man. Like there was a time where some of our first tattooers that we were working with, they wanted to keep it exclusive, and people would, out of respect, they'd ask us like, hey, do I have your permission to get the Solon badge tattooed on us? And we never said no, but some of the tattooers that we work with, they're like, hey man, that should stay exclusive to just people. But it got to a point where we couldn't control it. We embraced it. And now we let people know like, hey, if you get our logo tattooed on you, send it to us and we'll repost it. And I'm telling you, man, like every day people are getting our, and I'm not trying to be braggadocious or anything, but I feel like our logo might be one of the most tattooed logos in the world. Like I feel like more people are getting our logo than a freaking Nike swoosh or an Apple logo, or I don't know, man, but there's a lot of them out there. That's what I get a kick out of. It's humbling. I'm honored. And it just shows that our family just continues to grow worldwide, in a positive way.
And that's no doubt, because I'll be honest with you, man. I love your guys' logo. I've always been into skulls. I mean, even my mom was like, "That's satanic. That's this." I was like, "Ma, it's a skull. It looks awesome. Okay, leave me alone." I love this thing.
Yeah, they're timeless. They'll never go away.
It's just such a badass, badass theme, really. I mean, it's like it's just I've always loved it, and that's why I've always loved your guys' logo. I think that's what made me gravitate towards the Solon brand even more, is the logo itself, because the logo is freaking awesome. Not to mention, the way you guys spell Solon, the way you guys draw it. I mean, it's just so amazing. It's got so many different variations of it, and each one of them look amazing.
I agree, man. Thanks for saying that. So I'm going to put you on the spot. That means we got to set you up to get your Solon badge tattoo when you're ready.
I'm down for that, dude. it'll be my first, because I don't really have any.
You're one of the rare ones now. Nowadays, if you don't have a tattoo, you're the rare one. The rare one.
You know what? I've done it out of respect for my parents. And I always said,
they're not for everybody.
Yeah, no, and I always said to myself, I said, as long as my parents are with me, I won't, put any ink on my body. But the moment that, I mean, unfortunately, I've already lost one. I still have one that's with me, and as long as he's still here, my body will remain that way. But the moment that, he's called home, I'm gonna be like, well, I mean, I kept my end of the bargain. I'll be calling you up. I'll be like, Jeremy, guess what?
I got your back. I'll be waiting for you.
I'll be on my way there, man. So, but yeah, man. I mean, so other than that, dude, I mean, one thing that stood out of this conversation we were having is the fact of the matter that your clothing tells a story, just like ink also tells a story to each individual. Is that, is that the main premise for a lot of your clothing? Is like a lot of the stuff that you design, does most of what you design have a story behind it?
Absolutely. You nailed it on the head. I don't always like talking for my business partner. Like I handle all, marketing, PR, events. He handles all creative and production, and he's great at what he does. But just overhearing him have this conversation with other people, I hear him say a lot, he's looking for a story. He wants that piece of art to tell a story. But at the same time, in a simple way, you know, like don't overthink it, don't overdo it, don't add all these different elements. And on that note, we always like to let people know out there that we have an open door policy here. Like we are always looking for new art. I mean, we are, I think we have designs and our season's already booked out, I think like almost 2 years. So even if you gave us art yesterday that Ryan agrees on, you're probably not going to see it on a shirt for probably at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But at the same time, we want the world to know that we're always looking for new artists. We're always looking for to build new relationships and to use our platform to get people's name out. But yeah, you're right. Ryan does say like he wants that art to tell a story in a simple and basic way, and to have the right elements that will work on a t-shirt. Because there's some beautiful pieces of art that might not always translate on a t-shirt, and it might not sell. And it, you know, I mean, not every shirt has to be a bestseller. But at the same time, you know, we are still a business. I tell people we treat our product like lettuce, you know, like it goes bad. So another thing that we do is we don't order huge quantities of our shirts. Like a lot of our shirts will sell out in the first week. And, you know, what it does is it creates demand for our followers. They know like, oh shit, I like this shirt a lot. Should I get it? If I don't get it, it's going to sell out and I'll never have a chance again. So we get people out there that they collect them. You know, they'll want one of each shirt. And, you know, I'm not mad at them for it.
No, and you know what? That's amazing. That's another thing that I like about Sullen Clothing is that, you know, you're one of the very rare clothing companies that has, because other clothing companies, they just sell a design because it looks cool. But what's awesome is that you guys actually have a story to tell behind most of, if not all of your designs on your clothing. So that is something very rare. That's something very rare that I don't really hear much, you know, from many other clothing lines or any designers, you know, that they tell a story. They design it because it looks good. It looks fashionable. It looks trendy. It looks whatever. But you guys actually have a reason. You have a purpose as to why you design it.
And that artist that created it has his own story that needs to be told. So, I mean, like last week we came out with a new shirt from this amazing black and gray artist from Brazil, Douglas Prudente. His first shirt. This guy's incredible. Unfortunately, we couldn't include him in the video, but we're trying to get, you know, to let our people know. I mean, he's a big name tattooer. Most of our followers probably already know him. And then the week before that was Jack Rudy, who's a legend. He pretty much, Jack Rudy and Good Time Charlie Cartwright. There was a time in like the 70s where everyone did what they call traditional tattoos. It was all kind of Americana, traditional, basic, bold line, colorful tattoos. But if you saw somebody with black and gray tattoos, you associate that with they got it in prison. Mm-hmm. So Jack Rudy and Good Time Charlie were the first people to open up a shop, and they specialized in black and gray tattoos. Whereas nowadays, you see black and gray tattoos all over the world. But what people don't know is that Jack, Rudy, and Charlie Cartwright, they were the first ones to say, hey, we're opening up a shop, and we specialize in black and gray. So people would come to them saying, hey, I want to get black and gray, you know, whereas before you had to like do prison time. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's just one of the things that we want people to know. Like Jack Rudy's like one of the godfathers of the black and gray tattoo. He deserves all the respect in the world. He's tattooed, you know, Jesse James, and he's the one that tattooed Steve-O's back, you know, the big picture of, you know, Steve-O being a jackass. You know, so from the OGs that paved the way like Jack Rudy to these new up-and-comers that are just incredible artists, we're trying to get their name out there, tell their story, and use our platform to tell all these stories over and over and over again.
No, and that's an amazing thing to do, because you guys do an amazing job of it, you know. Thanks, and you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I also noticed that you also go to a lot of, obviously you go to tattoo conventions and stuff like that, and I'm sure there's a lot of stories there to tell too. Do you also get a lot of inspiration from your clothing at these tattoo conventions? I mean, walk me through a typical time at a tattoo convention.
Well, I'll tell you what I've been doing over the last few years is I'm starting to be a judge at a lot of tattoo competitions. So at most tattoo conventions, I mean, they're all different. Some of them there'll be a car show, and then you have a bunch of incredible tattooers inside. There's some that like Music, where it's a music festival in one section, and then the tattoo convention. But they also have tattoo contests. So what a lot of people like yourself that aren't tattooed don't know about is these tattoo competitions. So Friday, there'll be different categories. It'll be like best black and gray, best lettering, best Japanese, and say best black and gray portraits. And then on Saturday, it will be best color, best, I don't know, color realism. But anyway, so they have categories. So what I've been doing is I've been getting asked to be a judge. And what I like about that is I'm able to not only see all the up and coming tattooers, I'm sitting here looking at this new tattoo, 6 inches away from me. And I'm like, wow, that thing's incredible. And technically you're not supposed to know who did it, because then it shows favoritism. So if someone comes up and says, hey, I just got this done by Bob Tyrell, I'll be like, nope, sorry, man, you're disqualified. We're not allowed to know who did the tattoo. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I can go find that person and be like, all right, dude, I got to know who did your tattoo. Oh, this guy over here did it. Take me to him. I want to meet him. And then it's a good way for me to meet these tattooers that I haven't met yet. So I'm up on stage, which is good because I'm getting my brand out there and I'm meeting everybody. And then to take it one step further, a lot of these tattoo conventions have been asking me to host it or MC it. And I did it a few times and I enjoyed it and I did a decent job at it. So now they're starting to fly me all over the world to either host the convention or be a guest judge, and they'll, take care of my flight and hotel and sometimes get paid. And it's good. It's good for the brand because now I love traveling. I love networking. I love meeting these up and coming tattooers, and it's a win-win-win for everybody. I'm putting in work and they're getting, things checked off their list.
No, that's amazing. That's really something that, that is an honor to do, I'm sure.
I love it.
And
it's been fun. And
you get to meet so many different people at these events too, which is really cool, and man, it's just, I'm just really happy at how Sullen has grown to be worldwide. It's amazing.
Not to be negative Nancy, but this year was going to be my biggest traveling year in this damn pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, I was supposed to go to Paris. I missed out on Paris, London, Japan, Cancun,
damn.
and then some local ones, Dallas, Colorado, New York. But this year was supposed to be our biggest travel year, and I had so many. I mean, think about it, dude. Paris, London, and Japan, like.
That's huge.
Are you kidding me?
It's like, dude, it's almost like you're a musical artist. You're going on tour to all these different places.
The tattoo lifestyle is very comparable to musicians, but I missed out on all those trips. Whatever. My health is there. My wife and family, we're all healthy. It is what it is. They'll be next year. Hopefully things will get better. But yeah, man, this year was going to be a good, fun travel year, and it all got canceled.
But you know what? Like you said, man, it's better to be safe than sorry, and there will be other years, I'm sure. So I mean, it's one of those things where you just got to do what you got to do, But it's crazy because like going back to what you're talking about, how judges cannot know the artist or anything like that. It's very similar because I'm a script writer. I write scripts, and I've submitted my scripts to many film festivals. And the one thing they ask is not to put your name on it, just the title, and that's it. Nothing else. No names, nothing. Yeah, they do the same thing for film festivals. They strictly say that we do not want to see the name. If you want to put the WGA, which is the Writers Guild of America, number on there, that's fine, but we don't want to see your name.
But I like that because then you don't have the favoritism. You know, it's like
Exactly.
you could be the nephew of this big Hollywood producer or whatever, that they see who you are and they either want to give you favoritism or the opposite. They don't want to work with you because you're related to so and so. So I think
Exactly.
that makes it more fair, right? Do you agree?
It makes it, yeah, I agree completely. That definitely makes it like really fair. You know, I mean, everybody's like set in the same spot, and that way, if you get rejected, you know, okay, well, it was a fair contest. They rejected me for whatever reason they had. There was no bias, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. You know,
That's
so
interesting.
you know, it's and like, you know, that's why when you said that, that's what like sparked up my memory. I was like, oh, wait a minute, they do the same thing with film festivals too. So, and these are big film festivals. We're talking about the Page International Film Festival, the Nichols Film Festival, which is ran by the Oscars, and the Austin Film Festival. You know, and so they have that at these 3 huge festivals. So that's really cool of them to actually do that. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I guess they're starting to make things they're starting to make things fair for everybody, whether it be a tattoo, you know, contest, convention, or a film festival. I'm glad that they're starting to make things fair like that, you know, because it just keeps everything right. So, but man, again, you know, I'm telling you, I'm happy that Sullen is doing well. And, you know, Jeremy Hanna, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect. And before we go, how can people stalk you on social media?
My Instagram is Uncle Jeremy, and my brand is Sullen Clothing. Of course, we're on all platforms. You can't miss it. And then check out our YouTube channel too. We got over 1,500 videos, tons of, you know, different events, different interviews, time lapses. So for tattooers, a lot of tattooers have told me it helps them learn new techniques and stuff from watching our YouTube channel. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, Xander. This has been great. I'm so stoked for you and your success, and I would love to do it again, man.
Oh, are you kidding me, dude? You're of course you're going to be back on here.
I appreciate you, brother.
Dude, this is just a small portion of other stuff that we need to talk about. So definitely would love to have you back on the Xander Effect. Jeremy Hanna, thank you so much. Sullen Clothing, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect, and I look forward to having you back on, and hopefully you can bring, you know, the co-founder on. I know that he's not much of a, you know,
I'll get Ryan on with me.
Person to come on these days.
Sure.
Yeah, man, I'd love to talk to both of you guys, you know, and hopefully next time it'll be in person. I could sit down and actually, you know, talk with you guys in person. Love to see you again, man. Please be safe out there, you know, with this crazy virus that's going on, man. And, you know, love you, bro. And hopefully I'll have you on the Xander Effect very soon.
I appreciate you, man. It's been good times. I'll be ready when you are.
Sounds good, brother. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
All right,
thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Jeremy Hanna, for being on the Xander Effect. Appreciate your time, my friend. Hopefully I get to have you on the show again very soon. In sports, a group of NBA players have gotten together to go ahead and ask for something called bubble insurance. Basically, Boston Celtics star Donovan Mitchell has joined De'Aaron Fox, Kyle Kuzma, and Bam Adebayo in seeking NBA-backed insurance policies that will protect them basically against career-threatening injuries when they resume playing in Orlando, since the NBA has reopened, you know, practices. And basically what they're looking at here, this is a concern that many players were actually looking at, because since they haven't played in a few months, they're a little bit stiff, they're a little bit cold. You know, there's chances of, you know, they know that the NBA is taking precautions, but there's always a slight chance of infection of coronavirus, and they just want to go ahead and protect themselves in the event that they can't play for whatever reason. And so that's what they're looking at, you know, as far as the NBA bubble insurance is concerned. So they've all gotten together, and at this point, what they're looking at is that they want to go ahead and see if the NBA could provide this type of insurance, so that way they could provide some sort of protection. They're coming back, and they are risking a lot to come back to go ahead and entertain everybody. So that was the concern that I had actually reported on previously when I said that the NBA had reopened, but there's a group of players that had some concern about coming back. Some of them don't want to really come back. They want to wait a little bit, for health concerns. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if the NBA provides them with a little bit of a, quote, bubble insurance. So we'll see what happens there. In other sports news, something that hardly ever happens actually did happen in the WWE. The WWE has always been the type of organization that not necessarily talks about certain issues. What they do is they try to inspire and show positivity through their brand. Well, this past SmackDown episode showed two tag team champions, two wrestlers by the name of Big E and Kofi Kingston. Both are part of a group called the New Day, along with Xavier Woods. But Xavier Woods is out with an injury to his Achilles. So the two that are actually running things right now for the group are Kofi Kingston and Big E. Well, these two are an amazing tag team. They've already won the tag team championships 7 times or 8 times, and they're doing fantastic. They are a fan favorite. A lot of people love them because of their energy, their wackiness, and everything. Well, this week they decided to actually share their solidarity with the protests that are going on right now with Black Lives Matter by taking a knee and putting their fists up in the air. This is something that not many wrestlers get to go ahead and express. For whatever reason, WWE doesn't really like getting involved in political issues. They like to, instead of getting involved in political issues, they like to spread positive messages instead of getting involved in any type of political debate. So, therefore, having allowing the New Day to go ahead and show this on live TV was something really big, because I've never seen it. I've been watching wrestling for a long time. I've never seen anything like this, so I'm really happy that the WWE is expressing their support for the protests, their support for Black Lives Matter, their support for unity. So that's really cool that they did that, and I'm really happy that the WWE is starting to actually take interest as opposed to just kind of being diplomatic about things. Let's just put it that way. So I'm glad that they did that. Coming up next in video game news, Mafia has a couple of new little treats for their fans. They've upgraded a bit, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Jason's Up and At It right here on the Xander Effect.
Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. You know what time it is. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the pepper, once we get it, gotta stack it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the bag, run it up, I gotta have it. We up and at it, cause I gotta get to it, though. Poppin' tags, get wop, yeah, that's all I know. Bankroll, say cheese, this ain't a centerfold. Making cake, stack it up, yeah, I'm out the dough. I'm out the dough, rainy days without a raincoat. No excuses, no handouts, I ain't the scapegoat. Sunny days on the way, yeah, I'm thankful. But for now, deposit this into the bank, bro. These out here all the time. That got a check on my mind. Niggas out here wasting time. Get it right or get left behind. On my way now, going straight down. People play games, I don't play around. Getting to it, I'ma do it. Ain't no show and tell, but I'm gon' prove it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the pepper, once we get it, gotta stack it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the bag, run it up, I gotta have it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the pepper, once we get it, gotta stack it. Chase the bag, run it up, I gotta have it. I need that. Bring it back. Say what? Overtime on the grind, yeah, it's on my mind. Chase the bag, get a check, sign a dotted line. Backbone, got your back, yeah, I'm on your spine. Scoliosis, line it up, I walk a straight line. Presidential cost thousands, let me see the time. Not the ball, but I really live my best life. Afterlife, run it back in my next life. Too much foul play, you know you get the tech right. Run it up, gotta get what's mine. Can knock the hustle, you can see it in my eyes. Up next, it's my time. Gotta get mine. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the pepper, once we get it, gotta stack it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the bag, run it up, I gotta have it. We up and at it, we up and at it. Chase the pepper, once we get it, gotta stack it. Chase the bag, run it up, I gotta have it.
This is Jackie Lastra, the voice of Aset, you bet, from I, the Somnium Files, and you're listening to The Xander Effect.
Sun, take a breath so deeply. Brother, raise your gun. We will sell this moonshine. We made it in these hills. Our pride, our blood, our family runs deep within these stills. California whiskey, California guns. We will take this city before the night is done. California moonshine with the California sun is fighting well and quickly, but we've already won. Blood is in the streets now, gunpowder in the air. This is what you wanted, I told you I'd be there. These hands, they made this whiskey. This whiskey calms these hands. You will never take me. Lawman, be damned. California whiskey, California guns. We will take this city before the night is done. California moonshine with the California sun is fighting well and quickly, but we've already won. California whiskey, California guns. We will take this city before the night is done. California moonshine with the California sun is fighting well and quickly, but we've already won. California whiskey, California guns. We will take this city before the night is done. California moonshine with the California sun is fighting well and quickly, but we've already won. California whiskey. California moonshine with the California sun. California whiskey, California guns. We will take this city before the night is done. California moonshine with the California sun is fighting well and quickly, but we've already won.
That was Brendan Borgios' California Whiskey right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, Mafia, the remake, has been, well, I mean, I've talked about the fact of the matter that there was a remake coming for the Mafia games, Mafia 1, 2, and 3. And there's, of course, there's the definitive editions that are coming out. And basically, they're the last one, the first two have already been out, which is Mafia 2 and 3. And they've all been remastered. Now, the first one, the original Mafia, is basically coming out August 28th, and in this one they have they basically modeled, obviously the whole thing is modeled after 1930 Chicago, and in the definitive edition there are new features that include a completely rebuilt version of the setting, which is widened streets, smoother street layouts, and the driving in the car handling, because you have to do a lot of driving in the game, has been, you know, revamped and reacts to weather conditions. So that's really cool. So these are the new features that they've added on to the original Mafia. There's a trailer out right now that's on YouTube. You can check it out. It's called it's a narrative trailer for New Beginnings, and it has you play as Tommy Angelo, who starts off as a humble cab driver and slowly begins to, you know, for lack of a better word, graduate into the world of organized crime. So it's a really cool game. It's a really cool remake that they're doing. I'm actually looking forward to it because I have only Mafia 3. I've played Mafia 2 in the 360, but I've never actually I've played Mafia 1 actually in the 360, but never Mafia 2. So I'm looking forward to all these new additions that they're adding to it. And it's, again, the original comes out August 28th, so watch out for that. Also, what's out right now is Call of Duty Season 4 is out, and it features a couple of new maps, a couple of new weapons, but it still has a lot of bugs that that they really still need to fix. Last time I was trying to get in, the day it came out, I was trying to get in and they were performing maintenance and I had to wait 5 minutes. I was in queue actually for 5 minutes to wait to play multiplayer. So they still have a few bugs to fix on that, so hopefully they'll get everything. They usually do. I mean, whenever new DLC comes out, everybody's playing it, so they flood the system, they flood the servers, and that creates, I guess, a little bit of a meltdown, as far as the game is concerned. So hopefully they usually, like, within time, people start getting bored of it and they stop playing it. It's almost like going to the movies. You know, you go to an opening night, there's gonna be a line of people outside, so, I tend to go to the movies a couple of days later, or, on a Monday or something when there's nobody around. So that usually works out for me. Same thing goes with games. You go ahead and you wait for everybody to get bored after a while, then you play it and everything runs smoothly. So, hopefully they'll go ahead and smooth things out in the coming days. That's the news in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for listening to the Xander Effect, and remember to go ahead and check out the World of Dance podcast that I have every Friday. So make sure you watch out for that. It comes out on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, the works. Just like the Xander Effect. Xander Effect comes out on Spotify, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, the works. It's pretty much everywhere you Google it, I pop up. I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up. So make sure you watch out. Definitely look out for the World of Dance, where I get to talk to a lot of the contestants that were on Tuesday's episodes, and they talk to me a little bit about what happens behind the scenes, how they're feeling, and it's a really cool conversation. So make sure you check out the World of Dance podcast every Friday, and check out World of Dance that premieres every Tuesdays on NBC. So check out that. And, remember, there's still a pandemic out there. Remember to be careful. Remember to be cautious, because there's still no cure. So wear your mask, practice social distancing, and be careful. And remember, during these trying times, to love one another, be with each other, because this world, we're all in it. It's all one world. So make sure you're there for each other, and make sure that you have each other's backs. And remember, music always, always heals all. We'll see you next time.
Yo. That be tell I told. Yeah, you did. They ain't believe it though. One life. Do Brown. Same game, be teller. What up? Woo! So we kick it like it's kickball. Yo. Power couple. She drippin' in that Dolce Gabbana. They wanna touch her. Everybody know that's do girl. What you gon' do about it? Me and her take on the world. Now that's the truth.
Hey everyone, the Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., Sony Music, The Orchard, and BMG Bertelsmann Group, in association with Art 19 Media.